Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Now we have talked about science and skill class, and today we are going to be talking about the mutant champions that I personally find the most fun to use. And just to be clear, we do need to make the distinction that I do not necessarily say that these are the best champions that everybody should rank, nor I am trying to say that these are my own personal kind of favorite champions or the most used champions. These are the champions that, for one reason or another, I'm naturally drawn to, and I actually try to find reasons to use them because I find some interactions extremely fun. That does not mean that these champions are bad either. Like in skill class, we took a look at Kingpin and Moleman, some of the best skill champions, but that I personally also always actively try to find reasons to use because I find it incredibly fun to do belly bumps with Mr. Sinister Synergy, or just, go ham with Moleman. Similarly, in science class, for instance, Hulk is a champion that I find exceedingly fun. And now we're going to take a look at mutants. And actually, this video was kind of trickier to make because there are a ton of mutant champions that are amazing and really, really good. But I pretty much don't have a single champion here that I actively really want to use at times. Like if there's going to be, a blank Cav EQ difficulty quest, and let's forget the class nodes, I would not really be using mutants because, I know they're good. I use them when I have to, and I use them when they are the best answer for problems. But there aren't any of the mutant champions that I really kind of try to get to use as much as I could. However, there are some interactions and there are some champions that I do like to use more than others, and they are the ones that we're going to be discussing. And the first one is going to be Havok. Now, Havok in a generic fight, like against Realm of Legends Winter Soldier, might not be the most exciting champion to use. However, under the right conditions, when some energy damage is involved, Havok is an absolute joy to use, an absolute joy to watch because of his plasma buildup and how quickly he can do it, and then he can just detonate opponents, incredibly quick. And it's one of my personal favorite cheese mechanics, if you will. And let's take a look at the gameplay. So this is in, I believe, Act 7.2. I think this is 7.2.3. Energy adoption, lightning, and what have you. And point being is, when Havok takes energy damage, he gains plasmas very quickly, and we can see that they're immediately starting to detonate, and Ronan's health is just melting away. On top of that, Havok also has a very high energy resistance, therefore he doesn't take as much damage from Cold Snap, from Shock, and he can use those debuffs to actually top himself up on health if you are kind of like moderate on how many of those shocks and cold snaps you get. And you can finish fights easily with a couple of hits. I actually have videos where I'm cheesing with Havok without a single landed hit, where you just kind of parry and, you get the cold snap, you get the shock, and you can detonate opponents to death. But you can definitely, be more aggressive, be less aggressive, whichever way you want it. And the opponents are just gonna melt away. So I think in this fight I am going to try to be more aggressive. So I put the feedback on the opponent. I'm gonna go in for a full combo. I have like 4 of each of those debuffs, and we can see that consistently they are detonating, beasts taking damage by damage, and this is one of my favorite things in the game, especially associated with mutant class, with all of these energy adoption nodes. Absolute joy to use Havok here. Right, so who else fit the description of champion that I find it, puts a smile on my face? It's Cable. And with Cable, it's kind of more straightforward. There's something very satisfying to being able to stack a lot of long-lasting damage over time effects that are actually very potent. And whilst Cable does have the playstyle of parry heavy, which often, people kind of really do not like, and I'm not the biggest fan either. Like, by contrast, for instance, I find it extremely tedious and unenjoyable to use Red Magneto. because you parry, you charge your heavy attack, you double the prowesses, and you get level 3. And Red Magneto gives off completely different vibe for being a parry heavy champion than Cable does. And Cable, on the other hand, obviously puts on the degenerations on opponent that lasts for a really, really long time. If you have the Apocalypse synergy, they stack, they do a ton of damage, and it's one of those things that make me smile. It is one of those things that make me smile. You could kind of put Archangel in the same category as well, where that is a parry heavy champion that just puts up a ton of debuffs. But I think it's kind of especially evident, kind of clear with Cable, because that heavy attack animation is a bit cooler as well, with those tentacle arms that you are throwing. And we can see that, you know, a single heavy attack puts up 2 degeneration debuffs, and that Winter Soldier pretty much immediately starts melting away. And the entire point, the entire fight is just to try and see how many of these you can put up. And obviously Cable has other useful abilities as well. He can inflict Incinerate and Concussion, and he can gain power gain and regen and what have you. But, you know, there is a reason why Cable became kind of like a meta champion after Apocalypse came out. It's because this thing, so good, because it can be used to bypass a ton of different things. There aren't of many champions immune to degen as well, and having your damage distributed in this manner lets you bypass a lot of damage caps, and it's just extremely efficient and extremely cool and fun and quick. We saw that that was like no boosts, nothing like that. It was like 14 heavy attacks, and it was like 50 seconds, I believe, and the fight was over. So Cable is actually quite a good champion too, as it turns out, to farm potions in Realm Legends, because he does have quite quick time of disposing of the opponents. I could have obviously thrown in a special attack or 2 as well to get clipped somewhere in this fight. It's not the biggest of deals, but we can definitely see that Cable can put in plenty of work. I think I messed it up somewhere, but we're just gonna finish it up very quickly here. At this point, we had like 12 degens active. We have 14 degens, and that health bar is just disappearing. Absolutely love this. Very, very fun. At least to me. Again, I'm sure that, you know, not everybody agrees with me, and somebody likes different champions. But for me, Cable definitely is one of the most fun mutants to use. And the final one, I think, is going to be no surprise, because I have been openly, you know, promoting this champion for quite a long time. Unfortunately, I do think his kind of like role in the metagame has declined in recent year and a half. But Colossus is just an absolute powerhouse. And the damage numbers that Colossus can put up are crazy, are like bonkers crazy. On top of all of that, what I like is his increased power gain with Emma Frost synergy, and the fact that you just get to spam those special attacks. They are unblockable, and you kind of create a mission for yourself to get as many armor buffs as you can. I think I have gotten up to 160 armor buffs with a 3 or 4-star Cable against Wolverine. And obviously, you know, damage is to come as well. Colossus, a great champion in his own right, but obviously to kind of like fully enjoy him, you do want to have a full synergy team. And in this video, I do have a full synergy team, but I'm not using Professor X or Apocalypse, because I didn't want to ramp up. This is going to be kind of like the earlier version of Colossus synergy team. And when it comes to Realm of Legends showcases, I went with a 4-star, because if I picked my 5-star or 6-star rank 3, it would kind of be lost in that translation. Now, I'm actually not going to bother too much with parry heavy initially, because the goal, again, is to get as many armor ups as you can, and then just go for your level 2s. A lot of people think that Colossus is purely a parry heavy champion, and that's actually extremely false. In like longer fights, you don't really want to parry heavy much at all. Ideally, you do want to do that before like you drop a big level 2, but that is about it. It's much more about being fast, gaining your power meter back to 2 bars of power as quickly as you can, so you can capitalize on that level 2, potentially, you know, increasing your armor buffs, and you do want to kind of like overlap them, because you can only have 20 permanent armor buffs, but there is no real cap on how many temporary ones you can have. And that means the more armor ups you have at the point you are using your level 2, the more you can gain, and the more damage you can get to. And well, that is what I absolutely love about Colossus. Now we're gonna see level 2, I think, without any, you know, fury from the parry heavy, and that's a 4-star damage. That's a 4-star damage in a very, very quick fight. Pay attention that this fight only lasted like 1:14. So as far as farming potions with 4-star goes, I think Colossus is one of the more solid options as well. And I tremendously enjoy using this guy, because there is a reason why I have had like I don't know, 3-4 Labyrinth of Legends streams using Colossus, and why in general I like to use this champion so much, because he's a good champion in his own right without any synergies. For big numbers, you can already achieve great results with just Omega Red synergy, but if you do put up that Emma Frost as well in there, then it just goes even crazier than that. And these have been the mutant champions that I like to use most. So I know I took a few days in between the videos, but hopefully tomorrow I will be back with Tech class, and there might be a couple of surprising picks. I know that Tech class, you know, is not everybody's favorite, but there are some champions that I definitely thoroughly enjoy, and there might be more than 3 champions showcased this time around. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, let me know what mutant champions do you enjoy using the most, which mutant champions you find the most fun. And that being said, I will catch you guys next time. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about